what I hope for is that collectively as a society, we will have the courage to re-strategize who we are and know that we are the CEO of our future in the choices that we make, and that we would choose more broadly and less selfishly.
That is the ultimate call to unite.
Nearly a year ago, when Americans were stuck in their homes trying to avoid coronavirus, Tim Shriver came up with a way to keep the country together. He created the Call to Unite event, a 24-hour live stream with appearances by celebrities and leaders from across the country to spread goodwill when Americans needed it most. He's brought that same spirit to his new book, The Call to Unite, Voices of Hope and Awakening. And Tim Shriver joins us now. He's the founder of Unite and the longtime chair of Special Olympics. Tim, good morning. It's great to have you with us. So obviously we love the message. We need the message. Who did you gather for this book, and what's the underlying theme here?
Well, it's an extraordinary gathering. It's over 100 authors from all walks of life. And the first thing you notice with this beautiful book is that it crosses all the boundaries. It's not a Republican or a Democratic book. It's not a secular or a faith-based book. It's not a young or an old book. It's an all of us book. I was listening to Senator Duckworth describing our country for all of its power to bring people together. This is that book. You know, in hard times, in painful times, you just saw Bishop Jake say it. There's a sense in which in this country we always try to find hope, not hate, but hope. And this is a book, I think, of people saying, I'm with you if you're looking for hope. I'm with you if you're looking for healing. We together can find a pathway forward that would allow us to find the best in each other rather than simply dwell on the contempt and antagonisms that so often dominate our national dialogue.
So, Tim, what is the way forward here? We've talked about this a lot in this show, not just over the last year, but over the last several years when the country feels at times like it's coming apart at the seams. How do you begin to stitch back a country that's been so at odds with itself?
Well, I think, you know, what the book says is each one of us has the chance to do this in our own small way. Cross a divide. Take the chance on someone who you've written off, someone who you've demonized, someone who you've thought in your mind is the person that you will never tolerate them. You won't talk to them. You won't deal with them. Not those people. That mentality, in some ways, is very un-American. It's very American to disagree, and it's very American to challenge contempt and hatred when we see it. But it's not very American to be hateful towards other Americans. It's something that when we've seen it in the past, we've tried to change it, not add to it. So I think each of us in the book, you'll hear people like Jewel challenge us in moments of anxiety to use a gratitude practice. You'll hear Devon Franklin challenge us to act with kind of almost a divine impulse to act. You'll hear Chef Jose Andres, who you have on the screen now, challenging us to an empathy explosion. You know, if you're sitting at home as we head into, for many of us, the Holy Week celebrations in the Christian calendar or the Passover celebrations in the Jewish one, these are all celebrations of transformation, in some ways of resurrection. You know, we can wait for our politicians to do the right thing. We can wait for an end to the filibuster or an end to divisiveness on Capitol Hill. I don't think that's what's coming first. I think what's got to come first is us.
Yeah. Tim, Mike Barnicle's got a question for you. Mike?
Uh-oh.
Tim. No, Tim, you know, everything that you just spoke to, you know, it's wonderful and it's warming and it's needed. But there is a virus now in this country, and the virus has provoked enormous fear in ordinary Americans. There's the fear of the virus, there's the fear of the vaccine among some, there's the fear of the future for themselves, for their families, and fear actually, I think, is the ultimate virus that's among us. So how in this great, good nation of ours do we combat the ultimate root, I think, of what you're talking about coming together, fear?
Well, Mike, it's funny you mentioned that Arthur Brooks, the conservative columnist, conservative thinker, professor, writes in the book that the opposite of fear is love. And if you're feeling fear, you need more love. Now, that doesn't sound like a political agenda, but guess what? Maybe it is. You and I grew up in a time when in our country people believed in accomplishing great tasks, when we were confronted by the demons of discrimination and hatred in our country in the 60s and 70s, political figures actually believed in the country enough to try to challenge them, to pass voting rights legislation, to fight poverty, to start new programs. They weren't Republican programs. Head Start isn't a Democratic program. It's an American initiative to try to help our youngest children. We need the same energy now. The book invites us in some ways to create a national immune system, which is to challenge not just the other person's opinion, but to challenge contempt. We need kind of a way to get to the point where, you guys do this on Morning Joe, so I give you a huge amount of credit. You try to avoid demonizing and instead try to promote understanding, a deepened listening. Dr. Rita Walker is in the book, a mental health expert, and she describes what she calls ABCs, Mike. A, assume you can make a difference. B, be a good listener. And then C is the hard one. Cancel judgment. I think part of ending fear is on our own reaching out across these divisions, having a little bit of a companion that you can trust, friends like Oprah or Bishop Jakes or Dr. Rita Walker, or the many others in here, Julia Roberts and others, who will kind of be our coach, in the same way Tammy Duckworth wrote that beautiful book for her daughter and for her children's generation. This is a book for all of us right now as we try to build a different version, as you point out, with less fear.
The new book is The Call to Unite, Voices of Hope and Awakening. Tim Shriver, thank you very much for being on the show this morning.
Hey, thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. You can follow up on today's top stories and breaking news, or catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.